Hello, I'm Lewis Nichols, and welcome to episode 2 of my brand new online series, The Big Brother Reunions. In today's episode, I am reuniting housemates from Big Brother 2. We are reuniting Stuart and Amma, we have Dean, we have Narinda, and we have Bubble, all joining us to reflect on their time on the show, life after the house, and much more. If you missed the first episode, look at the link below in the description, where you can see me reunite housemates from Big Brother 1. Don't forget to tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. on this channel where I am reuniting housemates from Big Brother 3. So that's every Friday and every Monday I am reuniting housemates from various Big Brother series. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please like and subscribe and comment. Now I'll leave it over to you for the Big Brother 2 reunion. So today I'm really excited we're reuniting some of the housemates from series 2 of Big Brother, and I've got to say, none of them have aged. I expected some of you to come on looking maybe like, oh yeah, time's not been the best, and you all look like kind of pop stars, and you look really good.
Thank you.
So let's say hello to Dean.
I'm sure there's nothing wrong with your monitor.
How are you, Dean?
My Stevie Wonder.
I'm good, thanks. So yeah, I'm good.
And we've got Amma.
Hello,
How are you? And we've got Paul Bubble Ferguson. How are you?
Very good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, thank you. And we've got Stuart.
Hello, thanks.
How are you? And
Good.
Narinda, who looks absolutely incredible. How are you? Is she frozen?
Quite on cue, that was.
Brilliant.
We'll have to go back to Narinda. So I know some of you say that you actually stay in contact, and you all seem to get on really well. You've had a lot of chemistry before we've started this call. So is it nice to see each other again?
Yeah, definitely.
Always good. To
That sounded really convincing then.
it's always a pleasure to see you guys.
Like that. I'm just quite a relaxed person. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you some questions individually, and then kind of talk as a group. So I wanted to start with Dean, and just kind of going back all those years ago, what was it at that time that made you think, do you know what, I'm going to apply for this show and audition?
For me, it was I was 37, so I was the oldest person in the house, and my life was very much set. It was all mapped out. I was going to do this, I was going to do that. I didn't really hang out with anyone I didn't want to hang out with. I didn't do anything I didn't want to do. I felt like a bit of a challenge was missing, I think. In retrospect, had I known what a challenge it was, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it was, I felt like it was time to shake things up. I was really happy in my life, and my relationship was great, and everything was going really well. But it just felt like I needed to just shake it up a little bit, give it a massive shake in the end, to be fair.
And what about for you, Amma? What was it kind of at that time where you thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead with this? Because at the time, there was only one series that had been aired, so it was still a very new concept.
Honestly, I think it was because I was just a bit bored, and I thought this looks different. Only, what was it, 11, 12 people have done it before, so why not?
And are you glad that you did?
Yeah, I actually am. I would never ever do it again, but yeah, glad I did it once.
And what about you, Paul? What was it that made you want to audition and kind of think, this is going to be something that I want to experience?
£70,000. We're going to get £70,000. That was it. 9 weeks on, we can get 70 grand.
I can't remember. I can't believe you still remember the figure. I can't remember the price.
Yeah, well, that's why I applied. I can't believe that was it. That's all I wanted was 70 grand. I was happy.
And Stuart, what about you? What was it for you that made you think, I'm going to give this a go?
Midlife crisis, without a doubt. Absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt. I look back, got to a point where, like Dean, just needed to shake something up, needed to do something different. So it was either have an affair or do something completely ridiculous. So I didn't do both. I didn't say I did both then.
That's an exclusive. Narinda, what about yourself? What made you want to audition for the show?
I wanted to be famous. I've never made a secret of that. I wanted to be famous. That's it.
And you recently as well. I mean, because you give a lot of strong opinions on social media.
Yeah, people have gone crazy. I've had death threats this week. I had to have the police round.
Genuinely.
What have you said, Narinda?
I said, because it was Pride Week, and I said, there's gay Sikhs, get over it. And I had death threats a lot. People were like, no, it's against our religion. You effing this, you effing that. You would say that, you were right, whatever in Big Brother. Yeah, I got death threats constantly the whole day, that they would chop the kids up.
Oh my
Because I
God.
said that it's okay to be gay and Sikh.
Scary.
That's mad.
Just want to acknowledge some of the people that couldn't make it today. So I couldn't track down Elizabeth or Penny.
I
So
think
I
Elizabeth disappeared straight after Big Brother. No one has seen her ever again.
couldn't
Penny
track.
literally half an hour ago.
That's
Penny
what you want.
literally, she's written a book. Yeah, she's doing well. She's good.
Wow.
Really? Penny, how is Penny Bubble? Is she okay?
Yeah, she's found. Well, you know, she's always quite religious. She's written like a book. Oh, if I get my phone for you in a minute, I'll tell you what it's called. But yeah, she'd look it up. Download it. It's on some kind. I'm sure. I'm rubbish at that modern technology, but yeah, she's all right.
So unfortunately, the winner of your series, I didn't get a reply. So we've got no Brian on the show, which I kind of expected. So when you went in the house and you met all the housemates for the first time, did you all have an idea very early on who was going to win the show based on kind of personality?
I'll be honest with you. I met Brian in the round of the way before going through it, and at the time I came home and went, I met this really funny guy today. When he walked into the house, I was like, yes, well, happy Brian's here. Hello, husband. And I was like, yes, Brian's here. But then I was like fuming if he's going to win this. I thought it was between him and Dean personally.
Bloody hell! You're not a betting man then.
Well, in all fairness, though, we don't know how they're editing you, Dean. On the inside, you know how properly you work with everybody. Do you know what I mean? And I think on the outside, you don't know what they're showing. So for me, once I left, because I was in it to win it without a shadow of a doubt. Once I left, I thought it was a 2-horse race. I didn't really think Helen was in the running until obviously you come out and you start seeing stuff. And you're like, oh, they're telling Dean to mow the lawn and then just showing him mowing the lawn. Ain't it? It was harsh editing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
volume's gone.
So just going to Dean, I wanted to speak to you for you during your entire time in the house. Looking back now and at the time, what was the most challenging moment for you?
It was it's easy, really. I mean, one of the worst was going in. Literally about an hour after being in there, I just thought, no, I've got to go. This really isn't for me. And the only thing that kept me in there was I would look such a prat if I did that. I just thought I'd look such an idiot going through all this and then walking out. So that was really hard. But the hardest moment in there was when Bubble left, because believe it or not, he kept me sane, which is strange, isn't it, that he should keep me sane? But, you know, obviously we spent so much time together, there's so much talking. We sort of had like a 10-year friendship in 3 months, 6 weeks, or whatever it was. And when he went, it was such a wrench and such a like, you know, what the bloody hell am I going to do now? And then I think 6 weeks of, they called it the wall in there. They said after 6 weeks, you sort of, it gets really, really difficult. And that's the point at which Bubble went. And yeah, that was undoubtedly the hardest bit for me.
And what about you, Emma? What did you find the most difficult in there?
I think it was filling in the time in between tasks.
So you were going to say Stuart, because I still remember your fight with Stuart. It was the best TV moment ever. Admit it was the best. I had an interview the other day, and he said, what was your favourite moment? And I said that Emma and Stuart fight was the best.
Put them up,
I
Emma.
don't mind a good row, so it didn't scar me. It's okay. But
I'm scarred for life.
No, it was just really, really, really a bit lame in between tasks. I remember, were we allowed books then?
Yes,
Yes,
I had a book.
Yeah, but I had a book that I didn't want to read, I think. So yeah, it was the boredom.
You know what, Lewis, our one, I watched the other ones, and I think the other ones had better tasks. They had more food, they had more alcohol. We really had the tasks were a bit shit. I don't know, like Emma said, it was just a bit boring a lot between all of it.
And yet, Marina, we were the most watched show.
Yeah.
Well, because you know what, all the others on Twitter say, no, you weren't, Narendra, we were the most watched, and I think we were the most watched.
I think I can go as far as to say that the actual final performance, which is the final show, is Channel 4's second highest rated show ever.
It is,
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'll tweet that.
18.7 million people watched it.
When you tweet that, that's when people say, "Oh, we think we don't need to tweet that. We know that. We're happy with that."
Yeah, you're right.
We know the
You're
truth.
right. Yeah.
So, Paul, for you, what was the most challenging? Because you're a very kind of happy-go-lucky guy, and the audience just connected with you because you were always having fun. I remember you coming into the house, and I'm sure one of the first things you did was actually name the fish that were in the house.
I named the fish.
Yeah, too late. I got there first. I was first
in the house.
As always, in my trail. Listen, what happened was, I was the first in, and I named him when I got there. I'll break it to you gently, Narinda.
I named Darth Vader. And what was the name of the little one?
But if I came and named your children now, you'd be like, that's too late, I've already named them. That's how that works. Right, very well.
By the way.
What was the question, the most difficult moment?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Right now.
Personally, I would say weekends are difficult, because that's when I have my little girl. So I struggled on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then in there, the most difficult moment, without a shadow of doubt, was the England game. That was very difficult. But we watched it just without it. I tried to make everyone change it, if I remember rightly.
And what about yourself, Stuart?
Do you know what? I didn't find it difficult. I loved it. I'd come from a job where I was so bloody busy that sitting and doing absolutely nothing for 3 weeks with no responsibility, no car keys, no wallet, not having to do anything. I was like, yeah, this is good. And then spend it with a nice bunch of people. So I didn't find it difficult at all. I honestly didn't. Not even through some of the moments in there. It was fine for me, which was odd.
Actually, I think it actually sounds like a really good thing, because I understand, like with Jack, with all the pressure of his job, he would do anything just to be somewhere. Well, we're all in lockdown now with no worries of anything and not having to worry about a bill or this or that. That sounds like a
sunny, right? And it was great weather, so we could sit outside. We had stupid chats. We'd have a great laugh. I mean, it was edited horribly. I mean, some people say about various bits in the house. I mean, there were two things. One, if you know what you know now, use that diary room, because you just go in there and broadcast the outside world, and you could have said what you liked about everybody, and then you could have come up with, you got addicted. With the exception of you. But I was looking at a diary room going, I don't want to be in there. What's the point of going and talking to, going and sitting in that thing? But actually, now you know what you know, you'd play that game completely differently. You really would.
Yeah.
But I think in our time, Stuart, it was very different, the voting. I think the big characters like Penny, me, you, Bubble would have survived a lot longer in the late, if we were before our time.
Yeah.
Well, also it was a different way of voting. It was vote to evict, not vote to stay.
That's it.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Narinda, what did you find most difficult in your time in the house?
I think, I love, when I look back at my time, I like the friendships you build. We weren't friends. We all, it was a very hard situation. I think the most difficult thing was living with people I didn't like.
Sorry.
Like anyone, and I thought, oh my God. And I thought, I can't do this. I detested everyone. That was the most difficult bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, was just missing your loved ones. I almost started thinking, you're in this bubble, and the outside world doesn't exist. And do you still have a mom and dad? And you literally are. It's proper, just us. It was just us, and we all fought, and we were hungry.
Because you had your wedding anniversary in there, didn't you? Because I remember that day of your wedding anniversary, and I was like, I hidden all these sweets. And I went, oh, no, she looks really tired. Oh, yeah, I'll just have all my sweets. That's fine. That'll cheer her up.
Just me, I don't care about my wedding anniversaries anymore. Those days are gone.
This next question is kind of open to all of you, because as a fan of the show, when you watch it, obviously nominations is part of the process. And I've never understood, when people that take it personally, because when you go in there, you're going to get nominated. But what's it like actually being in there? Because everyone really takes it to heart. And it must be kind of, when you're in such a small house and you think you're getting on with people, and then you find out you're up for a nomination, you kind of must be asking yourself, well, who could have done that? What have I done to offend people? So what are your thoughts on that? And how did you find it when you found out that you were going to be up for nomination?
I'll go for
Go, Bubble.
I didn't take it personally at all, in any way, shape or form. Because, like you say, it's just a game. The only time I maybe look back and go, was obviously the final one, because it caused you to go out and lost. Then you might go, okay, I could have done something different there, but I didn't take it personally. I'm still friends with Josh. Do you know what I mean? So so that's the answer to the question for me. It's simple.
Yeah,
I think for me, I took it very personally, and I thought you absolute. I'm not even going to say it. I took it personally. It was hard, but voting was easy. What I don't get is when the series went on, where they all lied and said, "Oh, it's so hard. I can't vote anyone. I vote John," and they just lied just to play the game, and they would make out it was difficult to vote. But I think we were so new to it. We were so naive, all of us.
It's interesting what you.
Maybe not Brian.
It's interesting what you're saying, Linda, because I've got to be honest. If I was like there, and there's me, Dean, Brian, Emma, I would struggle. I'd sit there going, I like these people a lot, you know. And I know in some shows, people obviously clearly fall out and go, it's difficult. But I think generally in our house, there was a couple of run-ins. I mean, there was an argument. I know me and you had a little tiff for 5 seconds, Stuart and Emma. But in general, I thought we got on. I really enjoyed it. I like it all in there. Do you know what I mean? I think if in our house, looking back, I genuinely think I would have struggled to nominate people. Even I nominated Paul quite regularly. I didn't dislike him.
Like Paul. I never understood the.
What I mean, I didn't dislike him. You know.
Do you know?
Yeah. So
I think it got a bit weird at the end when there was 5 of us left in there, and just because there were 5 of you, it was so clear. It was me. No, it's 4 of us, wasn't there? No, 5. Paul and Helen, and then me, Brian, and Elizabeth. And as the nominations came out, you absolutely knew who had voted for who, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling to know that they knew you had voted for them. And I really, I had nothing against Helen, I had nothing against Paul, but I got on with Brian and I got on with Elizabeth, and that's the way it was going to be. And it felt really, really horrible to be forced into a position where you did have to choose people who you had nothing against. And potentially, especially with them two, you were breaking them up because, one or the other was going to go because they were against each other.
Do you remember there was one time during the nominations that and I think it was deliberate, they broadcast out the names. And I remember you going, no, we can all hear this. We're all shouting, putting our fingers in the ear. And I reckon they did that deliberately because for the nominations, for me being nominated, you'd be like, well, what's the worst that happened? I go home and see my family. So it was like there was nothing bad out of being nominated. No one took it personally, and I think a lot of that was people were seeing that, and I'm sure deliberately they broadcast those names out. There was a couple of things they were trying to do, and they were playing with us occasionally.
I think that you could I felt that you could kind of tell who was going to be up every week. Anyway, you could read the room. It was it was. Personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but you'd know where the tensions were, and you'd know where, so when I was up, for example, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, and so I didn't feel bad. It was what it was, and like you said, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And there are people that it's like life. There are people who like you more than others, so you know how it's going to go.
I think that was the problem. I don't think the problem was us nominating each other. It was what they were editing and what they were being shown. That was the problem.
There's 2 sides to the editing argument, though, isn't there? There's one which is they do show things in a certain context. The other is they don't show anything you didn't do. So it's 6 and 2 3s. The issue is they did dictate some things and then show it as if they hadn't asked us to do it.
Yeah, and it's very easy to do that, right? With a bit of editing, if you look disinterested, or Dean's looking away at one point in time, and then 3 days later they cut him looking disinterested while we're having a conversation, it makes him look like it makes you look bad, and that's what they did. There was a couple of things that people going, "Oh, I can't believe you're going." Hey, I don't remember that. I don't remember. There's fans of the show that can recall things and count back to you, and you go, no, that's not how it happened. That's not right.
Well, they categorically did that with when Bubble left. They categorically changed. They did an edit and put things in different places, so it looked like he was talking to different people at a different time. I mean,
and that's because they needed Paul to stay in the house because they needed that romance. They needed the romance thing. So anybody who went up against Paul was going to go. Bubble was a hugely popular character. He should never have gone, especially, but Paul stayed because they needed the Paul and Helen romance.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what you have to remember, although it's your life they're messing with, it's a TV show and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's it. And now we know what we know. It's much easier. You know it's how a TV show's made. You know what they're looking for, don't you? So,
but at the time, you could feel like you're a bit of a guinea pig in a rat run. You know, you were being manipulated and moved around. It didn't feel great. I think when you first came out, it really didn't feel great, and you felt a little bit like you'd been top a little bit.
I mean, Narinder made a point earlier on, which I completely agreed. I was going to bring it up, which is a lot of you, I felt, if you were in different series or later on, I think you would have stayed longer. Like I've always, people like Helen Wood and Kim Woodburn, I've always said if Narinder was in there, my God, they would have got away with it.
Yeah, I think the same with Stuart though, and I think the same with Penny.
Yeah,
Stuart and Penny probably, in my opinion, should have been the last three. And if had Stuart and Penny gone into Big Brother 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, or 8, they would have stayed in the last 4 or 5, definitely. It just changed, but Bubble's right. It was the vote to evict. It changed the voting.
Yeah.
I think actually the hardest thing wasn't necessarily being evicted or voted out. I think it was when you came out and you watched it all back.
I never watched it all back, ever, to this day.
I did. I don't think I watched every single episode, but the bits I watched a lot. And I remember speaking to a lot of us afterwards, and I know I cried because I watched it, and I was like, it didn't happen that way. I don't remember it like that. And then when I spoke to everyone else, they said, I remember you guys saying very similar things to me. So yeah, in there, not that big of a deal. Outside was worse.
Totally. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you receive support from, is there like producers would ring and check on you and make sure you're okay?
No, they didn't give a shit.
Wow.
They didn't give one. They didn't care at all. The next one in. I'm not saying they should care either. We're grown adults. I'm just saying that they just threw us out. It was like being thrown to the lions, and we didn't have PR. We had a bit, but they were more interested in someone else, and it was horrible. I think it was horrible. I hated coming out of the house. It was like literally you were hated.
I think the only sort of help that you got afterwards was it, I won't say the name of the PR agency, but we got them for about a week, and I think the purpose of them was nothing to do with our well-being or to guide us along. It was to use us to promote Big Brother, and then
don't forget we had the guy that we spoke to, this guy Brett. Was Brett his name?
Brett Carr, yeah.
We had him, and he was we met him before and afterwards. So they didn't put that in place. But I think I had a different experience coming out for you guys. Do you know what I mean? Because I've come out in the middle of it. They were very kind to me. They were very good to me. The only thing really with the Brett thing was the fact that I was forced to go and see him when I came out because it's for your well-being supposedly. But then of course the papers happened to be there, and Bubble goes to psychiatrist. He's like, hang on a minute. We all have to go visit them when we come out. You didn't put that in there. But there was an aftercare package for me. I don't know what it was like for you guys.
How long did you have security for? So I had Tony and Smiler for 4 weeks.
Oh, I wish I'd had Tony's hot.
What, like every day with you?
Yeah, for 4 weeks. So they used to come and take me everywhere because they wouldn't let me go anywhere because they kept going, no, you can't go out and, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine. So we were in London one day, again, to on radio show. So I sneaked off. I ran off away from them, which that went down really well. And I ran to HMV just to see what I could do. And I was in HMV, and then there's these security guards in HMV going, hang on a minute, now you can't be here on your own. I was going, what do you mean I can't be on my own? And next minute, Tony and Smiler come running around the corner going, what, Stuart, what are you doing? Why are you running away from us? So, well, I just wanted to see what happens.
It's because you
weeks.
It's because you hated.
I know. Exactly.
Exactly. 4 weeks. I had ours for like 2 days, and they sat outside the house, and I went out and just said, "Go home."
Yeah, I got moved in with Tony. I had to go live with Tony.
That's right.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Literally, I had 24/7, but it was madness. I got kicked out of Party in the Park because these people saw us and they got crushed up to the side, and people started getting crushed, and it was like sorry, like, you need to leave, mate. Look what you're causing. It was very bizarre for us. It was like adding water to fame. And I came out, don't forget, I've come out in the middle of it. I've come out at the height of it. I was apparently popular, so I got a good ride coming out. So I've kind of got the opposite. So maybe Stuart's got he's come out, he's done the wink, you know, and after that, he's getting our time for it. I've come out and I'm getting a nice time. And because of that you've got extra security for that reason as well. So, but we're in the middle of it. You guys come out at the end, like Dino comes out at the end. Well, at that stage, it's kind of finished, isn't it? You got, and Brian steals everything at the end.
I think actually the ones who went at the beginning actually got more exposure because we were living it in it, and then we were out of it, and there was so much.
And it's harsh because the advice we're giving from what we've experienced, so like, you know, I'm doing asking something like, yeah, well, this is what happened here. You don't realise it's going to be different for other people because of what you've experienced is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like Stuart said, some people might get 2 days, some people might get 4 weeks, some people are getting this, some people are getting paid this. You know, it's all different, and you don't, because it's all new to you, you don't understand at the time as well as you do in retrospect.
I think I got an easy ride coming out, to be honest, because obviously I was sandwiched between Helen and Brian, and no one gave a shit about which
we did. We cared.
I love your wedding. Your wedding was fun. I still remember your wedding. There was so much food.
I still
better than an Indian wedding.
That
so
was
much
a hard.
food.
Yeah, no one was interested in me, which was perfect for me because when I came out and saw the madness, all I wanted to do is just get home and get as annoyed as fast as possible. So I had quite an easy exit, I think.
So what I wanted to do now is talk to you individually and just find out what you do now, so people that are watching can kind of get an idea of what your lives look like now. So Dean, I mean, what do you do for work?
I'm writing TV scripts, strangely enough, with my sister's an author who's a published author, and Kit Duvall, and she's doing really well. And she was asked to do about 4 years ago now. She was asked to do a screenplay. And she got me in to do it with her, so we're doing that. We've got a film with Film 4 in production, and we've got a few things with Sky, a few bits and pieces here and there, book adaptation and stuff like that. So yeah, strangely, because I was building for a long time, and then all of a sudden, you know, my sister phoned me up and literally said, I remember I was on a roof and with a hammer, you know, doing something, and she phoned up and said, do you want to come and write a screenplay with me? And I've never got down the ladder so fast. And it was like, I don't think I never did it again after that. It was like, no, sitting down working instead of wheeling a wheelbarrow is absolutely a winner.
And what about yourself, Emma?
Well, I did an acting degree about 6 years ago. So I've been doing that ever since. And it's going all right. Nothing to promote or talk about because of Corona.
Lewis, fun fact, me and Amma have bumped into each other in the middle of London twice in a bad night. Generally, we've just been like, oh my God, Amma! Yeah. It's just been bizarre when I've just like literally bumped into her.
Go out.
They're very, very remote, aren't they?
Very
remote. Very remote odds for that to happen.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's very, very long odds they are.
I've actually also bumped into Emma a couple of times in London.
Oh my God, Emma,
do you want to meet here?
I get around, babe. I get around. I leave. This is why it's been slightly annoying.
I've got a question for you all, actually. Do you think Brian should have won, editing or not editing?
I thought he was going to win from the off, to be honest. So
yeah,
I had no problem with it.
He should have.
I think it was really. Sorry,
go on.
Dean.
No, you go on.
You know what? I think at the time, I think it's really good that he won. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather I won, or Dean won, or Emma won. But I think for the world, we needed Brian to win. It was a good time. A good time for young people to see it's okay to be gay. And Brian basically was a role model for so many people. And it was interesting. I've had so many people go, I was really surprised you were friends with Brian. I was like, why? You know, and the fact that people still think like that was a real eye-opener for me. So I think, you know, it was probably one of the first really open gay people on TV, and he was young, he was 21, and a lot of kids, we watched that guy, and it's okay. So I think, I think I won.
I think what else you saw, you actually saw him coming out, I think, which was important. He didn't get in there as a gay man. he sort of, you know, obviously did go in there as a gay man, because when he said my mom and dad don't know, I was like, what? They don't know.
Where do they live, Mars?
Exactly. But I think it was an interesting thing, and it's probably never been done before or since, you know, someone actually coming out on TV in real time, which was really, really like.
I think we all have a story like that. You know, Bubble could have been the first guy that, you know, Alma could have been the first.
But at the moment, if you look
could have been the first. Stuart could have been the first dad that's got this big. You know, we all had a story.
Yeah, we did have a story, but at the moment, at that time in our country,
I think
I think that was the most important one, you know?
And I don't think it was just
me being a dad, you know, there's lots of dads, no offence, Stuart. There's lots of people that are dads, there's lots of people, I don't know, I just think it was the right time. And he was a good guy. I like him. I mean, I liked him.
He certainly was in the house. I think he changed quite a lot. But he was
back on Big Brother, didn't he? After a while, he really didn't want anything to do with it, which that was a shame, really.
And you know, whatever we've experienced, he's experienced 50 times more. So it's going to be difficult.
I think that's important to remember as well, that it's a different experience for everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
And I can completely understand wanting to distance yourself from the whole Big Brother thing. So if that's the way he went, not fair enough.
Well, I'm pretty sure he hosted it after a while, didn't he? So
yeah,
yeah, 2 series.
Lewis, what were you going to ask?
No, it's Brian.
Lorinda, what was his story? Why did it go that way?
Well, we've had the big fallout, so yeah, that's a long story, but. So he wanted to get away from Big Brother because he was too big for Big Brother, and his PR people made him believe that, blah, 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 and he wanted nothing to do with it. But then when the job started drying up, then he wanted Big Brother, and they wanted him. Channel 5 liked him, but he was produced badly, because we all know he's very funny. We know that. You know, we all live together. We know he's hilarious. So he's produced a bit badly, and I don't know, he tried to be something he wasn't, and then he got edited back. I don't know. Then Now he's got. Then Ryan came along.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
There's always
100%.
somebody else to come along.
Absolutely.
I mean, for those of you, I'm not sure if you're on Twitter, but recently Brian had a bit of a kind of a row with Davina because of this show that they brought back, and I'm very much with Lorinda on this.
That's typical Brian. Was that? I knew he would have been asked, because Davina, because he was asked. I knew he'd be asked. I knew he'd say no, and then he'd turn around for his friends to stick up for him and say, "Well, he was just asked to do a phone call."
What was this?
This was you know, they did this big reunion thing, and looking back at Big Brothers, and
The
then
best moments.
yeah, that's it, something like that. I didn't watch it. And then Davina said, "You were asked, Brian." And Brian goes, "I was asked just to do a video call. I wasn't asked to be on the show, and I was a presenter, and I won it twice, and I won it." You know how Brian would say that. But they couldn't fly him over. There was COVID going on, and you know, Ryan and them said, "Look, we love you. We think you're great. You were brilliant." But he made a big like he felt undervalued.
He's tainted that relationship as well with Davina, and it was nasty. It wasn't nice.
Yeah, but they're no better either.
I love
Davina. I didn't.
like
Didn't like
Davina.
Emma, didn't like Davina, like Rylan.
Wow, you don't like Emma and Davina?
Emma is vile. She's disgusting. Every time I met her, she was a bitch to me. And Davina was not nice to my mum, and I won't forget it.
I don't know.
Hold back.
Emma, do you know Lewis, every time Emma does an interview with an evictee, yeah, she makes it so obvious whether she loved them or liked them. And then that goes back to the producer, and they're editing these, you know, these people's lives. And Emma makes a decision in her head, I hate that person, they're going to be edited badly, you're out, and I'm going to interview you horribly. Davina wasn't that bad, but as soon as the camera was off, bang, she was out that door. That's not nice either. I don't think that's polite.
Just to clarify, that's your.
Yeah, I like Davina.
Paul, just go back because we didn't get to ask you. What do you actually do now?
I'm a teacher now, and so when I left BB, I did the circuit for a bit. I went back to drama school, became an actor, went to Guildford School of Acting, and went on to write plays. I've written 13 plays, which have been performed in all different countries, which is quite exciting. So we're playing
Paul, will you please write a character like me and I can act in it? I'm an actress.
Oh, don't worry, I already have Narinda. So I've written lots of plays. Then I started going to do like workshops for kids and stuff, and in schools. At which stage, that's when I realised I liked teaching. So I became a drama teacher. I'm now an assistant head teacher at a school.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been there a long time.
Very good.
I love it. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
What's it like for you when you, write a play and then you see it performed? What's that like for you when you've actually created something and then you're watching it in front of your eyes?
Yes, it's very weird, particularly when you don't imagine it being said like that, or the opening. Like, I remember going up to the Lowry in Manchester when Molly was on, or because of Molly, and it just wasn't staged the way I imagined it. And that's really interesting. You're like, well, what? I don't see it like this. But don't get me wrong, the director did an amazing job and it was a great play. And I really like what they did with it. But your initial thought is going, what? No, I imagined it like this. Because when you're creating something, as Dean will tell you now, you picture it a certain way. And sometimes someone else comes along and they picture it differently and that adds to it. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's an interesting sensation. People bring your words to life.
And Stuart, what do you do now?
I'm a dad again. So after Big Brother, I got divorced. I've married my now wife and got a little baby, or she's not a baby anymore. I've got a 6-year-old now. So I now have 4 children in the world, 3 girls.
Stuart is still making millions, basically. He's still making millions.
It's all just a facade. It really is. And
Stuart.
It was difficult. I tell you what I really found really, so coming out. So I've got a really good job now. Dean dragged me into doing a tea bag bid.
I love the tea bag idea because I use a little cup thing, and I always think of you two every day, 7 times a day.
I'll send you one.
My last one, they were good. Them, I like them.
I'll send you anyone. I'll send you all one. Just send. Yeah, I've got your addresses. Send. So they're still available on eBay.
Stuart, what's your job? What job are you doing now?
So now I'm running a cloud for a big corporate. So, but what I really found was difficult was going back into real life because it was Big Brother was closing as many doors as it opened.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing for me. I mean, I met my now wife. Dean was my best man, by the way. Thank you, Dean. So for my new wedding. And it was funny because I met Jo because she recognised who I was. And Narinda, you've met her. You know what she's like. And Amma, you've met her as well. So I think, and Paul, you've met her. I think you've all met her. There you go. So yeah, really, really, So I met her.
Invite must have got lost in the post.
Likewise.
So because of the show, I married somebody 10 years younger than me. So that's the best thing that ever came out of Big Brother, apart from the relationship with these guys. So so fortunately I've got nice jobs, got some great kids.
This is a very good question. You become very unemployable after Big Brother. I was a medical rep, and everyone expected. I couldn't get a job back in there.
No,
I couldn't get arrested.
Yeah, I remember you and I talked about your CV and stuff, and then you go for interviews, and they only want you to go to the interview because they wanted you in their reception. It was bizarre.
Well, I think the main problem with that was, if you wanted to go back to your old job and your old life, you were a failure. And then if you wanted to pursue a career in media, you were a wannabe. And
Yeah.
you just, where on earth do I fit in? Where do I
fell out with Ruby Wax because Ruby Wax invited us to some TV show, right? So it was just a culling, right? So we were sat in this part of this show, and all we were there for them to go, look at these wannabes, look at these idiots they did on reality TV. And she started going down this thing and saying to some kid going, oh, look, I hope you do really well and you can have a media career if you want. Okay, hang on a minute, you're being a hypocrite. You're saying that we can't have a media career, what? Because we've done reality TV. And I stood up and started, obviously in my usual argumentative self, going, this is just ridiculous.
Not like you were taught, Stuart.
Just because it galled me, because the fact that
Brenda wasn't there with you.
They wouldn't
kick it off.
They wouldn't let you go. It wasn't acceptable for us to have a media career. It was like, that's ridiculous. Oh, Chris Eubank it was. And it was going, all right, Chris, so you could be a boxer, you could be you could go out and have a media career if you want. It's like, how. Anyway, afterwards she said, "Yeah, I'd never do one of those reality TV shows. It's all very, all people do those." And next minute, she's on bloody Big Brother.
I think Lewis, again, Stuart's made a good point. You know what? The amount of slating we took, the amount of, we were just like anyone's game. We were slagged off, we were this, we were that. And if you think about it today, that would be called bullying. That would be called, we went through a lot, all of us. We were slagged off badly by the press, thank God there was no social media, my God.
Yeah, no.
Some of the things that the papers wrote, when they know they're
so true, actually. We got light.
There are things
headlines.
It's not true.
We're on the
they know
front
it.
page.
Yeah.
Bubble. We were on the front page. I mean, they had a picture of me on the front going, "Stuart's the biggest winker in the house." It's like,
oh yes.
In all fairness, though, that once again.
No, hang on. But then Cristiano Ronaldo did it, and that was okay. It was all right for him to be a winker. It's like, seriously.
I actually really loved some of the press, but not because of the made-up stuff, because I just thought it was hilarious. Like the one where there was some girl on the front page of the newspaper as Mick who was stripping, and that it was me, and it wasn't even me. And I was really happy about that because I thought she had a much better body than me. And then there was the other one where I was going out with, was it boy? Yeah, I was going out with one of boys. I had so many boyfriends I've never met, and I thought it was highly entertaining. I used newspapers to see what I'd been doing last week. I thought it was great.
Yeah, you're right, Emma. There are moments like that which you look back and you laugh.
There were awful ones too.
You're thinking at the time it was a very different period of time. And our particular series was on the front page of the papers, of the different papers, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And because we were 24 hours a day, it was a really, really popular show. And when you look back, when you come out and you're reading these things, your mental, well-being and looking back and thinking about what people are saying about you, what people think about you, it's a massive, massive amount for your mind to cope with. And I know, I'm not speaking just for me, but I just think anybody that goes through reading things and thinking 7 million people think this about me because someone wrote it, and there should be some kind of legislation that says that's not allowed to happen. And if you go and argue about it, they'll just have there'll be a sorry on page 29 the size of your fingernail. It's not quite
you're lucky to get a sorry on page 29, because I think what happened was, if you were like just me, who come in there as we're all nobodies basically. You don't have a massive team of people protecting you. If you do try to sue or try to, make them pay for it, then they would just start a campaign against you, saying as terrible things as possible. Stay in.
Someone told that story. They've seen an opportunity. I met this guy once or this woman once. I can tell a story. It doesn't matter if I make it up. I can make £1,000, which to them probably is a couple of months' money at the time. So I understand why they're doing that, or why they're seizing an opportunity, because that's what they're doing. Just like we tried to seize an opportunity. The show came
into our lives. The amount of lies the press told. I'd be invited somewhere, then they'd say I wasn't invited, and then when I wanted to sue, I was told you better not sue them, or you'll be blacklisted.
Yeah.
If that happened now,
then they're doing their job, aren't they? They're doing their job of selling newspapers.
It's illegal now.
It's like we were doing our bit to try and be on the newspapers, or to try and make money, or to try and get famous, or whatever it is. So everyone's doing their thing. So it's hard to pinpoint blame. I'm just saying it does have a massive effect, I think, on the mental and emotional well-being of all of us in that house. And I don't know about you, but lockdown right now has been very difficult, kind of going through it, being locked up again.
And that shows us how strong mentally we all are, because you watch people in weaker dispositions that, if they went through the same experience, would be now going, I've got a mental health issue because of this, and they'd all be suing it. They really would. They'd be suing them. And I think you've only got to look at the degrees of media that we all got, and the press coverage is why people still today, 19 years down the road, will still go, hang a minute, I know you from somewhere. The amount you still get recognised, and it flatters me and makes me sort of, you stand back and go, oh, okay, you still remember me from that long ago, and that's because it was just such degrees. You say you're on the front pages of the newspapers and on TV 24/7. It's a long standing.
What are you going to say?
I can't remember now.
Oh Jesus, Dean, you haven't changed.
I'm getting old. I'm getting to senile dementia, I think.
Narinder, what do you do now?
So I've joined a business that we give away BMWs, £10,000 cash, each seller on bags.
I've seen
I'm happy with anything.
£25 a ticket, www.superhydros.com. And it's completely, obviously, because you know me, I tell it how it is, it's completely legit. You'll win the call.
Wow.
And there's actually not a lot, 3,200 tickets sold.
And you still make a lot of headlines yourself now, don't you?
Mostly, I'm a mum. I've got a 14-year-old boy and a 12-year-old. That's my life. Is I'm a mum.
But you definitely still make the headlines.
Guess what? I think they would vote me out too, because it's very much, Mum, don't do that. Don't say that. Oh my God, is that what you did? They actually watched me doing this.
No, I love you. Anyone who follows you on Twitter will know that you don't shy away from saying it as it is. And I read some of your tweets sometimes like, oh my God, as if, and then before you know it, the magazines, Big Brother's Narinda, Slates, and it's all out there.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to agree, actually, you said some odd shit online, my love.
I think you know what it is. I think after my brother passed away, I just thought, you know what? F this, I'm just going for it now. And I went for everyone. I have anger and bereavement.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's it.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, but I didn't know that.
What I did want to ask you now is kind of one of the questions at the beginning was for each of you, what your highlight from the show is. So something that you look back now with kind of is the biggest fond memory that you have. So starting with Dean, I know you just said that you've kind of getting early dementia, so maybe not the best person to start with. But for you, what's your best moment?
Or the best person to start with, because if you leave it any longer.
That's a hard one. The best moment. There was some moments in there where we'd want to task, especially when there were quite a few people still in there, where you'd want to task, you'd want to take away, or one of the birthdays that we had in there, where it just seemed to be, ridiculously hilarious, and everyone was laughing the whole night until people got pissed and argued. But those early bits of those nights where it was someone's birthday and it all felt a bit special, and probably because we had so little in there and we had such no way of really letting off steam, when those things landed, it was really special. I just remember laughing till, literally till my ribs hurt.
And Amma, what for you was your kind of highlight, your special moment?
I think my brain's worse than Dean's.
You and that dog, I won't get over it.
Oh, I forgot the dog. The dog, yeah. The dog. I love the dog. I also, this is more about what do I remember the most, I think. Sitting out in the garden for the fire task and having long chats till ridiculous hours in the morning. I forgot about, do you remember his name?
Paddy,
that was it, yeah. I remember the doggy.
little bastard.
Adorable. I loved him. He was great. It was a new face. I think that's why I was so into the dog.
He cost us that food. He cost us that week.
He what?
He cost us that week.
Oh,
he was a little.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a little bastard. He was terrible.
Paul, what about you? What was for you was the standout moment?
Falling over the chair.
That was one of the most painful things ever happened to me. I do have a very funny story about that though for you, which you'll quite enjoy later on. So I would probably say for me it was the world record task. I think becoming a world record holder. That's something that I would never have done in my life. Really, I suppose.
You didn't do that in the house, though, mate.
No, I became a European record holder. Yeah. But the whole thing came from that task. That was a good task.
Yeah,
and sitting there and we worked hard at it. You obviously broke it in the house, Dean. I remember sitting in the dining room. Well, I think when we found out, it must have been someone's party, because we had I'm sure we had a pampering party for something. Was it Elizabeth's birthday? I remember being in cucumber on my face, eating a chunk of cucumber with some kind of face pack on, going, "Will I ever be anywhere? Will my name? Will I ever won anything?" And they're like, "You'll be a European world record holder." I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that. European record holder, woo!" And obviously, then when I came out, I then went on to break the world record. But that was quite a standout thing. The chair task, horrific for me. Smashed my quads up. Smashed it up, because that furniture, and you might not know this, Lewis, that table was bolted to you can move it. So when you run into that, Yeah, that's why I've gone flying. So the chair and the table, that was at the time. Do you notice they don't do that in any other shows now?
But you know what? It's done so they can edit. Nothing moves in the furniture, so they can. If the furniture moves around, they couldn't put
Don't
it
do it anymore though, because of the danger of what happened to me. Now, I'm pretty sure it was late at night when I rang up and said, had an accident. Goalless. I thought,
Are you still smoking? Because I remember you and Emma struggled with the smoking, and as Big Brother went on, they started allowing cigarettes. But I do remember they should have allowed it with you two as well, because that's like you two trying to come.
We had to get cigarettes through the shopping task, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I just always bought them. Some people said that they weren't a necessity. I reminded them that alcohol wasn't a necessity, and then they let me buy the cigarettes. Which I thought was fair.
Then I voted you to go out.
Yes, luckily you were already out at that stage. Moving on. So
amazing.
Where were we? Carry on. Next question.
So Stuart, what for you? You know, what's the moment that always you look back with fondness?
I think there was one task where they got us to, or we had to remember facts about everybody. So you had to go and learn a fact, and then they basically took you into the diary room, and you had to then recall the facts. And they put where we're in the diary room, they put everybody up on the screen. And do you remember we're all sitting there, and every time somebody came on the screen, they're going, "Oh my God, they look great on telly." Like, okay, and Helen goes, "Oh, I wish we had a camera for this. I'd love to have a picture of all of this." And we're like going, "All right, love." So I think that was great, and then we won that, and we won that, and you'd seen everybody how they were on telly. You saw everyone sort of almost their TV persona, and the way that the way people looked, and we're all going, "Oh, hang on a minute, we are in a TV show." That was probably one of the moments for me that you went, "Oh yeah, I get it."
The real moment, wasn't it? Realizing that you were not just living your life, you were actually going to be on a TV show. Yeah.
There you were.
Yeah,
and Narendra, what about you? What's the moment that you always look back with fondness?
I think
it's where we met, isn't it, Narendra?
Probably quite a fight. I think it was the Amma and Stuart fight, and it was Brian's birthday. And no, actually, it was when Amma and Brian and me were in the pool, and Amma was pulling his pants down, and I just laugh at that. And I remember just, you know what? It's been 20 years, and you don't forget them kind of moments. And even though we all voted each other, we may not have liked each other and whatever, I have so much love for these guys. It's like I still know them.
Can I change mine? Can I
change? Of course.
I just remembered my absolute favourite moment was when I think Narendra and Brian were talking about me in the bedroom. And I was stood outside listening.
Oh, yes!
And I walked in out afterwards as if I hadn't heard anything.
What did we say about you?
Oh, I just remember listening and thinking it was hilarious.
Oh, I also remember another moment that I love, and my mother used to laugh, was when we did the grapes and we had to squash it with our feet. And I always remember Stuart saying to me, because I said, "Stuart, we've only had water, drink the grape juice." And Stuart goes, "I will never drink anything from Penny's feet." I will always remember that. Because he's
anybody's feet. I hate feet. I really don't. Feet aren't.
But you said Penny's feet. You said anyone else's feet, but not Penny's feet.
I think you'll find he also said, I'm not sure this is a running theme here, but I'm pretty sure Stuart at one stage he said, "I sleep with any woman in here except for Penny." I think that's another thing.
I was a dick. I was a real what a dickhead thing to say. And when you look back, and then I came up with the classic line of something like, "You can either," if she called me some expletive, which probably was the right thing to say, and I went, "I defend it, take it back." What? I mean, seriously, I want to go back to me and go, what are you doing, you idiot? It's funny how people don't know, just don't know each other though. There were things I never wanted to discuss while I was in that house about, things that I was doing.
And the Bubble saying how we used to want to watch Chelsea getting a blowjob and a Chinese takeout, or a Ruby Murray.
And there were things I just wouldn't say.
McDonald's match of the day, because I'm out to treat Lady Mark, which is clearly a joke.
Things on the outside when we've all met up and there's been some surprises and people going, "Hang on a minute, you do that?" It's like, yeah, nothing about me.
We were 18 young. It was a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we've all matured and grown up, and can take that experience forward. I definitely have grown up.
Yeah, we really have.
Yeah, you know, I just think it's been a massive learning curve for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, you just saying that about, you know, it's kind of 20 years ago. So when you look back now, and because you only have to go on YouTube, and I think every single episode is on there. So when you see different clips, or you see it on kind of montage shows, is there anything that you regret when you look back? You just wish, I wish that wasn't online. I wish I didn't do that. I mean, what about Dean? Do you have any kind of, is there something that you really regret?
Any? I've got loads. I think I just was too miserable and took it too seriously, and was just too, I don't know, just too...
You were, Dean, and you know what? You really could have come out and shout, but I do feel you were just so like...
I was. I think a lot of it was when I went in there. It's only a small thing, but it sort of set the tone for me. I was told I was going to be able to say goodbye to Vanessa before I went in there, and in the end I wasn't. I kind of went in there. I got off on absolutely the wrong foot, and from then on I was very resentful about being in there. As far as the company went, as far as Endemol went, I was very resentful against them. So I was a bit. I think the whole 6 weeks really, I was underlying pissed off, and I think it came through. And certainly sometimes it really came through when I just had absolutely enough, and I just wanted to vent. And I think maybe if I'd taken some Valium in there with me, that had probably been the best move.
I think we all needed Valium, everything. We needed everything. We needed some Mexican cartel in there to kind of give us stuff.
Nice.
Amma, what about you? What for you is kind of something you look back on now and you kind of regret? Because you've all gone on to do kind of incredible things, and like you said before, it's hindered you when you want to get certain jobs. So is it kind of something in particular that you wish just wasn't out there or didn't happen?
If there was, in the age of Googling, I'm not going to say it on air.
Fair enough. What about Paul? Is there anything that you regret?
He's moved.
Yeah, listen, you're talking about something where you're being filmed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every single person is going to have said something or done something they regret, you know, because that's just the nature of the beast. Any week, next week you'll do something you'll regret. Whether it be, you know, we all make mistakes. It's life. Unfortunately, any mistakes we made then have been filmed and recorded. I'm older and I'm wiser now, you know, and things can be taken out of context. Things that you've said that you've made jokingly can be taken differently. You're in an intense situation. You fall out with people that actually don't, you know, I don't really dislike anyone in that house. Never have. So there's lots of things that have been taken. You go back and look at it differently and be taken out of context now, if that makes any sense.
I think, Lewis, when you're in that house, you don't realise that, because this is a very poignant moment. I always remember actually Bubble, your mum, and I remember coming out the house, and then I was invited to the next week's show where Paul got evicted, and his mum, your mum, she gave me some shade, and I remember thinking, oh my God, and you realise what you've done in that house and how you didn't get on with people. Actually, their mums or parents or their loved ones don't like you because of that. Yeah. And I also remember.
I think the particular thing that I think it was Mr. and Mrs. Bywhite you may have called them. So when you say something like off the cuff, and I know you probably don't mean it, you know what I mean? You say it there and then, that's people, you know, you're insulting people's family and friends. And as much as like when you outspoken like that, it's very, you know, I love Lorinda's character the way that she is. You know, it's lively and bubbly, but people will take offence. That's why you say something you be controversial, people are going to come back at you, you know. And
your mum came back at me.
She's really nice, and I'm sure she doesn't dislike you now.
Of course, but my mum would be the same. But what I'm saying is that's what made me realise, actually, oh my God, what I've done and said in that house and we didn't get on, that affects their loved ones.
Yeah.
What about Stuart?
Yeah, look, you know, Amma and I, you know, we fell out, and I've apologised to her loads of times. It was, you know, I think I didn't want that to spoil the experience for either of us, really. And I think that, you know, as time goes by, if I look back to that situation now, I learned a lot about myself. I learned, you know, I learned how I was, and it was, you know, things in moments. I was trying to be true to myself, but also trying not to be with things that I couldn't say and didn't want to do because it would impact people on the outside that I knew. So things that are about me that, you know, at the time being, you know, a dad, being in a reasonable job, and there was things I said if those things came out, then it would have a negative impact potentially on me when I got out, and I didn't want to do that. So I think, you know, my regrets, I didn't want to spoil the experience for anybody else, because actually, you know, looking back, it was fun. You know, overall, in the time I spent there, I like Dean said, I remember us sitting there laughing one night, literally clutching our sides because they hurt so much. It just hurt because there were such funny things going on, and we're all independently funny and saying things and doing things our own way. So, you know, no regrets, but I've learned about myself, and we make mistakes, and you're human, right? So
and that was the point of going in there, Stu, wasn't it, really? You know, at the end of the day, it was going in there to find out about yourself anyway. That's the only way you're going to do something like that. Is to put yourself, and then put yourself in pressure situations. How do I respond? Oh, that's really me, or that's me. And it's the only way you can find out anything about yourself.
Yeah. Do you know what I think overall? I think it's very hard personally to take things personally, because under no circumstances normally are you going to be living with 12 other people that you've never met before. You're going to see them wake up, go to bed, do everything they do through, and I can't spend a week with my best friend, and I love my husband. So there you go. So I think there was no need to take anything personally that went on in the house, or to dislike anybody, because you know, we're not designed to love everyone.
So true.
Now, Narinda, I mean, in the series, it's fair to say you were known as the quiet and shy one of the house. So do you have any regrets at all?
No, because, you know, then I would have been fake. I was just true to myself. And you know, if that got me evicted, it got me evicted. I would never want to be fake and win. I'd rather be myself and lose.
And did any of you get invited to you know, when they did the Big Brother's Ultimate show, and did any of you come back for any tasks or any part of those?
I got invited. I didn't get invited.
Do you know what's been funny though? They do tend to ignore our series, like this thing, the best moments. All right, so Brian didn't get to do a Vox part, but did anybody else on here get asked to make a comment?
No, in fact, I heard that Big Brother 2 from so many tweets. A lot of people said that it got actually ignored, and the only clip they showed was of Paul being boring, and that was it.
But did you get asked, Bubble, or anything? No, to say
you were in the Ultimate show, weren't you? Hang on, I'm going back. Sorry, just a thing. I'm sure I saw you in a task, Stuart.
Me? No.
I did the 10th anniversary thing.
That's what I'm thinking of, the 10th anniversary one.
I went there because I'm mates with Craig, aren't I? So I went there because Craig was in it. So I was his.
I'm getting the Ultimate and the 10th anniversary mixed up.
I was one of his friends and family. That's why.
So I think I didn't go to one, and because I was away out of the country, and they got the arse with me and never spoke to me again.
It's kind of weird because, like, I mean, Paul said at the beginning of the show, your series was the most watched Big Brother of all time, and actually Channel 4's second highest rated show. So I don't understand, because, you know, when you watch these kind of best ever Big Brother moments, the best episodes, you don't get a lot of mentions, but then the ratings were there for a reason, and it kind of stayed every single week.
I think it's because they're trying to...
technically, it didn't stay every single week. If you look, after I left, it went down dramatically.
All right, Bubble. God, can we put the picture? I vote Bubble because he's arrogant.
No, I'm actually just stating fact. After I left, I think it went down 347,000 voters the following week.
Whoa.
That's how many viewers it went down.
He's contacted every single one of them.
Yeah. After Narinda left, do you know how many it went down after you left, Narinda?
No, how many?
2.
It didn't go down.
It went up.
Increased the viewing. No. No, I'm joking.
If they were clever, they would do reunion shows as in the house, and we all go back in that house.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back in there, would you?
Yeah, for enough money.
For money.
I would, no.
I'd go in for an afternoon for tea and then leave and have beer.
Now,
It's very weird.
Parties after the show they rented out the Big Brother house for parties. Did you ever go to one of them?
We did.
They were good, weren't they?
We did the BT one all together.
Yeah, we went to that.
I
one.
never went back in the house.
Wait, was it?
I
I
never
don't remember
went.
doing that.
Did you not
Oh,
go back
my
in?
memory is so bad.
I've got videos of us all in there on that BT party.
I just
I was
remember going back to one.
Yeah.
Oh my
that
goodness,
that
it was. I
BT.
remember now. I said to come back to
When we
me.
Yeah.
started stealing all of the stuff out of the house, we were nicking all the stuff and putting them in the cars. Don't you remember?
I think I might
You
remember. Bubble took loads of stuff.
I did. I've got the mats out of the last
Bubble,
stuff.
you took loads of shit. I
You
remember.
took loads of stuff. And there were crash doors in the walls that we didn't know. We
Yeah.
go, hang on now.
I've got nothing in my house from the Big Brother 2.
You liar.
That's true.
Really? Nothing. Have you got the case?
Look at the what?
The case that you went in
No,
with?
I
No, I made a fortune. Next.
I've still got my orange blanket.
Oh my God,
Wow.
I'm that orange blanket.
And Dean, you've got some stones from the garden.
where?
Is that right?
Yes, I've got some stones. That's all I could fit in my pockets. I've got half of some stones.
I've got. I tell you what I do have. I have the wood with the axe in.
There you go.
I've still got my case.
And the rest.
I've got both of my cases. I've got the pouch where you get the microphone. I've got
Why have you
the,
not
Yeah,
got
both
for
of
that?
my cases. Yes, forgot about that.
and then we got to Dean and I went to see the Big Brother 3 house. We were putting our tea bag bin in there. Do you remember? And I nicked the bath plug out of the Big Brother 3 house.
Do you know, I remember the task that we did. I remember the task, like a little thing. Do you remember the calendar task? That was good.
That was good.
Whatever happened to the calendar?
Yeah, where's the calendar?
I've got mine.
What? No way.
Have you got one?
Yeah, I've got one.
And
I'm
then
going to get that printed first, Dorinda. That was good, that task.
Amber, you and Helen had those great big those pictures from the show. Do you remember? You had those great big profile pictures in your flat.
I can't remember.
Amber, you had a flat in with Helen, and you had those great big pictures that they were of us all. Do you remember?
No.
No.
No, honestly, I'm
That's
trying
the real, isn't
in
it?
my house.
Emma, you
in
in
your-
the Big
in the
Brother
flat you
house.
had with
Remember,
Helen.
get with the fucking program, Emma.
I know, but honest to goodness, I think I've blocked out
Language,
like,
Dorinda.
to a degree.
Dean's
So
got
you're
dementia.
reminding me of things now.
There we go. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun to reunite the housemates from Big Brother 2 to hear about their life after the house and some of the moments in the house. Don't forget to tune in at 7 p.m. on Friday where I am reuniting housemates from Big Brother 3. So that's not to be missed.